All right. What's going on, boys? How you doing, Gervais? G Money 1.25. You said I already spoke faster, bro. What's up, Steve, Ricky, Andrew? What's going on, boys? A great week at MSL. I don't even remember the last play that we lost on. Obviously, all the calls did great today. What's up, Hamza? How you doing? Um, SPY closed just above this resistance. Looks like it's giving it back right now. I have a bunch of lines on here from all over the place. Obviously, the gap fill. So we had a gap fill all the way to 389.75. We went over that today. Next gap fill is all the way to 401.44. So this rally can keep going. It probably will keep going considering the strength today. Sarmad, what's going on? I know a lot of people, a lot of perma bears, especially people that are in a bearish mindset, they're going to point to one thing first and only one thing first, the volume today. Volume is declined, there's no doubt, but as I told you before, on these type of bear market rallies, volume doesn't have to be increasing. Look at the March rally right here. We rallied from March 15th all the way to March 29th. Volume was falling off every day. SPY was going up every day. So we do not need like increased volume. All that tells me is that this is another bear market rally. We will have lower lows in the index at least. Certain stocks have bottomed in my opinion. A lot of the growth stocks, a lot of the lower, some stocks we'll go over in a few minutes. What's up, Carson? How you doing? Newsletter, I will put extra work into it this week because there's a lot to know about next week. We are breaking above all the clouds here on the daily. That doesn't really matter to you guys, but we're right at the 21-day moving average, and we did actually close above the 21-day moving average, which is at 389.21. Now we switch into the weekly. Weekly rallies have stopped at the 8-day moving average every time. Except for March. March, we did get over 1 week close over, and then the next week we put in a reversal and came right down. So what we need to watch now, what's up, Carlos, C. Moss, Chris? What we need to watch now is this weekly chart. The weekly chart is 8-day moving averages at 397.21. So you got the weekly resistance at 397.21 now. Even though we do have a gap to fill all the way up to 401. On the daily, we also have the 50-day moving average at 405. The gap fill is at 401. So that's what we're looking for now. Where did I see gap fill at 401? Am I dreaming? No, it's 401 is the gap fill and 389 is the 50-day on the weekly. So make sure, last rally we tried to rally, we rejected at the 8-day. Remember, we were bull flagging for days and days and days. Could not close a single week above the 8-day on the weekly. So that's what we're going to be watching for next week. I do expect buying until June 30th. I've said that for 2 weeks now. Other than that, I think next week is also a buy the dip event. I will not be shorting stuff until after next Friday, which is quarter end. But then I will be definitely shorting a lot of stuff. QQQ, same kind of story. QQQ led the day today. Most strength carried us up. You've seen Google was one of the main parts of that, so we'll go over that. XLF also started the day very weak. We did start the day, I don't know if XLF, but JPM in particular, what I watch. Right before open, we had a big dump, which we actually opened red on JPM, and then look what it did. Look at this manipulate. Look, it's straight up in the air. So JPM, big recovery right now, and this is going to be one of my key shorts. I'm going to put a lot of money into this short. If JPM gets to 119, I'm going to be taking August OPEX puts on JPM. The reason being 119, scroll out on the weekly chart. Look at 2018, guys. Feb 2018, clear resistance. September 2018, clear resistance. April again, 119. July again, 119. And then again right here, it was a mess to get back over it in 2020. Even right now, it was hard to break underneath 119. They kept closing the weekly candle above. We finally closed below, and now we're retesting it from the downside. That's an A+ short setup in my mind. We may go a couple points here and there over, but if I have August puts, I'll feel safe in them. Other than that, IWM strongest, started off the day just screaming, and end of the day you guys seen that pop. VIX was popping alongside the SPX, very weird, but again, there's a lot more underlying stuff that goes on in the VIX that we don't know about. People study their whole lives in VIX and they still don't understand it fully. SPX 3900, all levels are getting taken out. Whoa, I shouldn't have moved that alert. So I have an alert here at 3920. My target for next week, Friday, was 3900 with a maximum of 4,000 as this short squeeze target. As soon as we get to 3,900, or now obviously we're already above 3,900, we closed above 3,900. So now it's going to be tricky for me next week. It's going to be much harder to buy the dip personally, just because we had such a run up today. It kind of screwed up my next week plans, but over the weekend I'll come up with something and look into a bunch of stuff and figure it out. DAX closed above 13,000. That's what we wanted. So Europe FTSE closed above 7,200. It's what we wanted. So internationally, everything's fine. That's all we want. So watch that 13,000 level on the DAX, and FTSE you need to watch 7,200. TTD was our play of the week. We were waiting for that since Sunday. I put the trade of the week in the newsletter. We waited patiently for 3 days, finally got into it yesterday. We literally marked the low yesterday. We got these $50 calls for July 15th for, what did we get them for? $1.50. We got them for $1.50. I sold them for 100% today in 1 day. Great play. I was going to roll it out. Didn't get enough of a dip. I did have an order in here, but it didn't. If it touched the 200 day, I think I would have got filled on that order, but I didn't get filled. So that's okay. Next week, Monday, if we gap down or something, I'll be looking for another entry into TTD. I do think this one runs for a little while, just based on the weekly chart. As you guys see here, clear wedge. Held the 200 day once again for like the 6th week in a row. And now if we break out of this wedge, we have the upside targets that I gave you guys in the newsletter, which is about 55, I believe. Yeah, 53 is the 50 day, and then above that can even touch the $72 mark if TTD wants to get going. This is going to be a huge weekly breakout if we do. Other than that, AMD, I told you guys 84, huge level. You've seen it struggling with it this morning. First 10-minute candle we closed below. 30-minute candle was also very tricky this morning. And then finally, all of a sudden, it just broke. And once it broke, it didn't stop. It broke 84, went straight to 87.50, and then just sideways for the rest of the day. Like many stocks, did not get back to the high of day, which is a warning sign, personally, for me, that it wasn't as strong as the indexes. TTD was the same way, I believe, at the end of the day. Did not take the high of the day at the end of the day there. AMD didn't either. Para did not either. Para was a great play by Yash as well. This one was a bear flag. It looked like it was breaking down yesterday. They recovered it at the end of the day, held it above, and then today a 5% explosion and a close above the 8 day. So Para looks like it wants higher as well. Walmart, I'm waiting for my third entry in this one, in the same calls, the 130 July 15th. Sorry guys, there's a lot of charts to go over. There's a lot of setups now. So we did bottom out. We broke out of this little wedge thing. I hit 100% calls here. I hit 50% calls first, then I hit 100% calls. Same contract, 130 call for July 15th. I bought it at 35 cents. No, I bought it with 70 cents with Yash. Then I sold it for like 50% or so. Then I bought it back on Friday for 35 cents and I sold those for 70. And now I'm looking for my third entry, which would probably be around the 35 cent, 40 cent mark if I get that. 21-day moving average, clear rejection on Walmart today. It's a very ugly daily candle overall, but I do think we run on Walmart soon. Google, absolute ripper. So you guys heard what I said about the other stocks that weren't taking the high of the day at the end of the day with the indexes. Google was definitely not one of them. Google actually carried the index into the close there, 2360. Insane. So we've been in this Google 2700s for July 15th for a while now. Finally got that day I was expecting. We've been holding, I think, since June 17th. So it's been up, but those options have been moving very weirdly because they're very out of the money, for one. And the second thing is the small green moves. This is the kind of day I was expecting back here, but took another 4 days. But congratulations anyone that followed the Google calls. We got very nice profits on those. INTC, I'll go over this one last. Tesla's another one that did not take its high of the day at the end of the day. And the one thing that's worrying me about Tesla is that 8-day moving average on the weekly. As you guys know, the 8-day weekly has been rejecting for a lot of these bear rallies, the bear market rallies that we're having. 8-day on the weekly since it started. You guys see back here, May 31st, reject, and came back down further, and we're sitting right underneath there. 745, it curled up a little bit this morning. It was at 730. You guys can see here I have an alert. It was at 738 something this morning, and that's why I had my alert. 740 I was going to short, never got to 740 anyways. 8-day curled up a little bit, so now it's at 745.70. Just watch that level. It's going to be very, very key. As you guys seen on SPY, it's the same story here, guys. We've been rejecting the 8-day on the weekly. Even the daily looked so bullish at the end here during May. Remember how many people called the bottom in May? Where was it? Right here. So we ran up, we bull flagged for a week straight. The only difference was the bull flag was on top of the 8 and 21. It was being supported by it. And I thought we would rip up from this bull flag, but the weekly 8-day said nope, and we closed the week underneath the 8-day both, all 3 times. So that's what we need to watch now is 397 on SPY, 745 on Tesla next week. And the play I took at the end of the day, I was going to wait till next week just to see if we get a little cool off on Monday or not. But I opened up the chart. This is the INTC chart, guys. They do semiconductor chips if you don't know. They're an American company, and if Biden releases any, first of all, USA has to start making their own chips. They cannot depend on Taiwan and China for the rest of their lives. So that's one key. Holy hell, that's a big line. But yeah, you guys see previous resistance was this 38.50-ish area, 38 area. And right now we did dip below it a bit, but we recovered and closed the week above, I believe. Yep. And last week we closed below. This week we recovered that support right away. That's one reason I liked it so much. I had to jump in. Second reason, RSI, this beat up. Stochastics, this beat up. You go back in history. RSI does not stay this beat up. It usually goes for a bounce. Another reason was the Bollinger Bands on the weekly. You guys see these bands right here? We are right at the bottom of the band. Last week we actually closed below the bands. This week the lower band was sitting at 37.76. So we close about $1 in the band here. If the bounce gets going, we have a lot of room to the upside, guys. At least my target would be around $40.60. That would be first target. That's the middle Bollinger Band, just to revert to the mean. But if we go back in time and see, one thing I do like is patterns. I watch patterns a lot. You guys see back here, we closed, or we'll go here. We closed 1 week below. Next week, 6% rip. And then after that, we got another 1% here. Obviously a slower mover than the other names we're used to trading. But as you guys see here, anytime we close underneath the Bollinger Bands, the next week is usually an up week back in. And then we get a little bit of follow through the next week. So let's see how it is. I got January, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm not even going to watch. You guys see here, close below. Next week was up 14%, and then 3%, and then another 5% straight up in a line, guys. So let's see if we get a crazy wicked bounce off the bottom of this Bollinger Band. Other than that, we have a lot of time on these calls. I will be scaling in and out. I'll call it out. And I hope you guys had a great day, great week.